a scion of many worlds. Riots in the streets and rage in the heart. Even before he physically saw the Temple of the Luxway in daylight for the first time, it was already under siege, not from his forces, but from the infuriated masses. Further proof that the whole world is set to destroy itself. Thankfully, as more of a mobile mountain than a man, Jasper has little issue moving through the readily parting crowd. The former empress had been brought to her room and placed under house arrest. All the notes and minutes from the previous administration were being pored over by several Aridus Valley scholars who were not only thrilled to be part of history, but eager to figure out more about the neighboring country, especially as several of them were refugees from Miru to escape persecution. The temple is almost Greek-like in its design, with tall columns of marble holding up a garden of flowers above the heads of the masses below. A few people look like they're trying to get themselves killed as they're attacking the bases of the pillars in rage. He lets out a sigh. Calm. There must be calm. I know you cry for justice. I know there is rage in your hearts. But rage poorly directed can only harm the innocent. You there, stop chipping at the pillars. If they come down, where do you think all the stone will go? Jasper bellows over the din of the crowd. The crowd begins talking to him, more screaming demands actually. Do something about the Luxway. Who are you? What are you? Some of the more interesting ones demand what took him so long. He holds up his clawed hands, still somewhat smeared in the gore from dealing with the council. You've seen my willingness to deal with the corruption. Allow me some minutes to handle the Luxway. I will seek out the cruel and controlling who would lay you low and separate them from the convenient fools they have duped in order to bolster their power. But there are bitches of light in there. How one is born does not determine their character. It is the choices you make that matter. Now please, allow me through. He calls out and the crowd parts before him. Thank you. He walks up to the barred door of the temple, noting that it used to have more banners, but the infuriated crowd has already torn them off. Many of the windows are broken due to thrown rocks and the door is barred. It takes him only a few moments to push it open, with at first an audible groan from the wooden pillar they've used to bar it before it snaps entirely. As the massive halves of the wooden pillar clatter to the floor, he walks in swiftly, his starry cloak flowing behind him with ease. There are screams of terror from many of the younger sisters of the order, and they all back away. Where are the masters of your order? I'm not looking to kill the women who were seeking to better their lives or find purpose in religion, but those who would take advantage of those such as you. He says loud enough for the echo to carry back to the crowd behind him. He can hear them muttering already. They went down, my lord. There's a meeting room in the wine cellar. They vanished some time ago. Let me guess. It's a small passageway that barely has room for a single sister standing alone. Yes? One of them asks. Almost clever. I'm too large to follow through such a thing. Thankfully, I have a dear friend who's as fierce as she is small. Magrika. As small as I am fierce? Ha! I'm not even half that small. Magrika mocks from the outside. She had been bored and fluttering around the city, watching the riots for entertainment, and had been swooping down for a bit of brawling when someone was stupid enough to throw something at her. I take it you heard everything, my dear? I did. Can I break bones if they're really stupid? I suspect you might have to either way. Just get them to me alive. I have questions for the fools, he says, and the tiny figure blurs past him as a streak of dark blue. A few doors are ripped out of their frames as she passes, and the crashing sound continues as she quickly finds the way down, and there's the noise of shattering stone as she literally hits the basement and then keeps going. What was that? Magrika the Massive, Metak monster hunter of the mountain clans and my lover. Now then, can one of you show me to the offices? I'd like to have a look through at what the high ladies of your order were planning. What makes you think they were planning anything? One of the sisters asks, aware that the designed acoustics of the temple's main hall means the entire crowd is hearing even the most casual conversation. Generations of abuse to the point that half the kingdom breaks away to form the Greenstone Alliance, the systematic destruction of any house that asks for peace or even patience with neighboring nations. The increasing power of the Lux Way, the grooming of the empresses after they were declared holy, the damming of several key rivers that lead to the Goldlands that then result in droughts which leads to famine, and then piracy, as the tensions with the Bright Dawn Archipelago and Greenstone Alliance grow ever higher. If they're not planning something with all that in movement and much more besides, then they're so downright incompetent we need to figure out what they're trying to do so we can get ahead of whatever disaster their stupidity leads to next. But someone is grasping at the strings of power and they don't seem to care how many lives become unraveled in their attempt, Jasper says as he steps through. Well, I've never been in this temple before. Show me to the chambers of the highest sisters. But no one's. One of the youngest sisters begins and Jasper tries not to roll his eyes. Anna, the Luxway isn't surviving this. Follow me, Lord Blue. I'll show you the way. Another one says. She's a little older looking and is clearly giving the crowd outside more considering than fearful looks. You seem to have things a bit more figured out. One of my best friends is airborne. Let me bring out a bottle of wine to split with Sky and I'll give you a full tour of the temple. Deal, Jasper says with a smile. Fantastic. I'll show you to the Grand Lady's chamber. She keeps the best stuff in there anyways. She continues with a smile of her own. Star! Someone shouts from the crowd and she turns to the crowd and raises her arms. Sky, get over here. We're showing Blue here around the temple and walking out with the good stuff. Star shouts and there's a bit of laughter from the crowd as an Air Arumenta in a maid uniform rushes over the crowd and all but literally flies in to hug her friend. All right, sweet moment aside, let's go get me the information and you two that wine, Jasper remarks and Sister Anna grabs his cloak before he can leave. Yes? What's going to happen to us? The Luxway is over. With the Empress as their pawn, they had done horrible things to Miru and its surrounding nations. But I need to know if it was idiocy or cruelty, of if there's somehow a yet still unseen manipulator beyond even them. Jasper tells her. And us? You were fooled by them as well. You're a victim here too, a different sort than the ones outside, but a victim nonetheless. But how will I get them to forgive me? Have you tried asking for forgiveness? Jasper says gently, and she looks surprised before stepping back with a nod. Star leads him and Sky deeper into the building. He has to crouch through the doorways, but the rooms are built up so high that he has room to stand in most of them. Although the stairs are kind of tricky. They're spiral-styled and he almost has to slither up with the metal of his armor scraping along the walls. It's near the top of the building at the back that the office of the head of the order lies. Thankfully, it's an ostentatious mess with big double doors leading in. He only has his antenna swept back as he walks in. Books, scrolls, gilding all over the place, and he can already sense an echo that shows a hidden doorway not too far away. That sounds like a great place to start. Right. Well, most of her official stuff is in her desk here, and hey, that wall doesn't... Star starts to explain as Jasper steps up to a nearby wall, pushes in a brick somewhat, and it follows a clicks into something. There's no further movement, and he pushes on the wall somewhat, and it starts to turn to show a doorway so thin that he can't even slip in turning sideways. How did you find that? Sky asks incredulously. My antennae are an entire set of sensory organs. I can see in different ways with them. The door was obvious, he remarks before sticking his head through. It's a tiny little office that he simply cannot fit in at all, so he does the smart thing and levitates some of the papers towards himself. Blah blah. The cell in greenstone is working towards dissolving the faith in the lesser elements and slowly working a proper Lux sister into a position of power. Blah blabbity, blah. The deliberate drought in Goldlands has opened up numerous opportunities. Oh yes, we've got our perpetrator, but the motive isn't mentioned, he remarks, scanning the papers as he reads. Wait, the Order has people in Greenstone? Star asks. Apparently, at least one sister of the Order. Jasper notes, passing her the pages before levitating another handful to himself out of the office. These ones are for the hidden expenditures and a list of stolen artifacts and relics. Something about a flying boat? There's a functional spaceship on this world? A what? Star and Sky both ask at once. Somewhere there's at least a partially functional spaceship. This is insane. If they had that, they could have called for help and regained the Age of Miracles, or copied it and used it for obscene levels of advantages against others, Jasper exclaims, putting those papers to the side onto the desk and summoning yet more to his hand. He scans through 2 more handfuls fast, before coming up on something more interesting than an extensive listing of bribery and blackmail. Apparently, the damn documents weren't so much ordered as just set down wherever the head of this order thought was best. Here we go. Instructions that each head of the order must follow. Hidden within the highest chamber, there is a device of sacred purpose and divine strength that is the key to enormous power on a massive scale. He reads out loud and gives his impromptu assistants a sideways look. I can't fit up there. I'd be very appreciative if you two would be my hands for getting this key. Promise to keep reading out loud and you have a deal, Sky says, and Star gives her friend a slight cheer. I'll even use silly voices. It's in the bell tower. Hidden under the symbol of Miru, stick your fingers into the stonework and use the symbol to turn things in this direction. He indicates clockwise by turning his hand that way. After that, the front should come off and you'll find the device inside. Bring it to me. I need to read more of this. I'll be back in a bit. Also, can I have another bottle? Sky asks and Jasper nods. Yes, just please bring it here. Why don't you go in by the side? Star asks and Jasper sighs. Because I'm trying not to cause too much damage as I do these things. Yes, I could slam into the side of the bell tower and start ripping it apart to get at what's inside, but then the people down below will have glass shards and stone raining down on them. Not a good thing. Also, in the years to come, this will become a cultural site, a way to remember the past. I want it preserved for that, if nothing else. Why would we want to remember this? If you don't remember the past, how will you learn from it?